Vanakkam. Now I am going to take the another part in detection of bank frauds. This is a very important area. Before going to the presentation, I want to say a few things. This video presentation is a knowledge-based video presentation. It is sharing of our professional knowledge only. There is no canvassing involved for professional development. It's only a sharing among the charter account members and students, knowledge development. And my videos which are released are available in the YouTube channel Ravindran V. You can go and watch that channel. And going to the topic, I want to say if any fraud is undetected during the course of audit by a charter accountant, then that CA is held personally responsible for the loss to the bank apart from losing our certificate. This is only a caution, it's only a warning. Please do the audit very carefully, because any thing done without finding any fraud, then we are answerable. So be confident while you are doing the audit. Now, there are two types of frauds. One is fraud in banks. This takes place within the bank and no outsider is involved. Fraud on bank, this means outsiders are also involved in doing the fraud. So, fraud in banks, what are all the items that are being covered in fraud in banks? That is cash lending during office hours. That is, the cashier, he might have given the amount to someone, then he collects the amount on the day end by way of getting some interest. This is one type of fraud that is being located by fellow members. Then missing notes in bundle. Suppose a note should contain 100. In every bundle there will be 100. Sometimes some 2 notes or 3 notes have been removed and they put. And if they circulate, then if the person who is getting the notes just break open the bundle, then you will be the loser. This is another type of fraud that has been identified. And use of same note bundles by 2 branches. Sometimes two cashiers of 2 branches, they would have colluded. At the time of verification, if there is any short, that one note bundle is being given to this branch, and they would have adjusted. In other case, in the same branch, they have got 2 cash counters. Then also they will exchange. This is another type of fraud they have identified. And posting in wrong accounts. Instead of suppose Mr. X is making the payment would have been credited to some other party's account. They have taken the money purposely. They did. The fraud is, this is the very important area. Please do carefully. In statutory audit also you can find, and this is more applicable in concurrent audit, because day to day the concurrent audit is doing. And in fraud in banks, another thing is misuse of sensitive stationery. That is, if you look into the DD book, then it will be a bunch. Then sometimes some officer, some person who is dealing in that stationery, that DD, they would have tagged that DD and they encashed. So this is a type of frauds that is possible in fraud in banks. Then fraud on bank, that is outsiders are involved. There it is a technology related fraud. That is, in one case, you know that the person who has written the software, he has said the fraction amount should be transferred to his account, so that he earned millions and millions of rupees by way of transfer of this fraction amount. This is another. There are a lot of technology based fraud that we will discuss later. Then also deposit related frauds. Outsiders by fabricating depositors, by making complaint, everything, that is also possible. This is done by the outsiders. Then advanced portfolio frauds. These are the 3 types of frauds. Also, fraud in banks and fraud at banks. An auditor has to be very, very careful while locating the fraud, and that too, he has to be very, very careful in identifying the fraud because, as per the RBI norms, if any fraud is undetected during the course of audit, then the auditor is held personally responsible for the loss to the bank apart from losing our certificate. This is only a caution and a warning. And who commits the fraud? So the who are the persons involved in the fraud, in bank fraud? Internal, that is about the staff involvement, there will be a chance for fraud. And by the external force, just like from the depositors, borrowers, outsiders, they can also do some fraud. But sometimes internal and external by a nexus of staff and outsiders. These are the persons they are committing bank frauds. I said it's a fraud means there's a possibility of fraud. This type of fraud, we have to find it. This doesn't mean that all are doing fraud, but these are the ways we have to identify the fraud and we have to identify the persons. And what are the personal effects? That is a reason for fraud. First, we have to analyze the reasons. So, improper recruitment of employees without knowing the background and integrity. Sometimes the bank may appoint temporary staff for purpose of helping the staff. If their integrity is suspected without knowing the background, if they have been appointed, then there will be a chance for fraud. And if there is no training, or we can say lack of training, and if there is no job rotation, then there will be possibilities for fraud. And if the discipline of the staff is not maintained, there also is a reason for fraud. Then another thing, an employee, if is indebted to someone, so with pressure, what he will do, he has to adjust, he has to make the payment to his borrower. So he will adjust the bank funds. But one thing every auditor has to bear in mind, the internal control of a bank is 500% correct. But only the non-applicability of the principles may create a fraud. On any one day, that type of fraud will come. So I can't say that the bank has got no internal control. The bank's internal control system is very, very good. But as an auditor, we have to find the fraud, if any. Then sometimes the staff may do the side business. That is, apart from apart from the employment, he may do some business also. Suppose in case of money lending, what he will do, he will take the money, because suppose if he is a cashier, he take the money, he gives the money to outsider, you will get 1 day interest. But this can be found out if there is any surprise check done by the auditor. Then extravagant living standards of employee, that is living standards of the employee is something great. If there is such person you have noticed during the audit, then you have to see his personal account, because every bank has got the staff account, and sometimes the same staff would have opened an account with the joint name of his family members. That also you have to see. In this way, you can find the fraud, if any. I said fraud means fraud, comma, if any. It is not fraud. That doesn't mean that everyone is doing fraud. It's only a method of identifying the fraud. Then carelessness and casual attitude towards operation, that also leads to fraud. Then lack of belonging, sincerity and enthusiastic approach. So every staff must know that the bank is his family. He has to safeguard the public interest. If there is no sincerity in handling the advance account, handling the cash, then there will be a chance for fraud. These are the reasons of fraud. Then what about the personal aspect of fraud? That is lack of constant awareness and alertness of management and operations. That is, they have to be updated in the knowledge. If there is no such knowledge, then somebody with without the knowledge of this staff, they would have committed the fraud. But when you identify if the same is being done in your password, in your terminal, then you will be caught. So the person who is dealing in the banking operation, you should be in constant awareness and alertness of management. What management is giving, what the decision they are giving, what the circular is giving. In previous days, everyone is reading the circular, but here, for want of pressure, these circulars have been omitted to be read by few staff. So my request is, even an auditor, you have to read the circulars. Then lack of set of rules, regulation, norms and procedures. If there is no proper set of rules, regulations, norms and procedures, then there will be a chance for fraud. Then loophole in procedures. There will be lot of loopholes in procedures. This we will discuss later in other slide. So the loopholes, as an auditor, you have to see, is there any loophole or not. And lack of accountability, that is fixing the accountability. Suppose anyone can do anything, there is no accountability, means anyone can do anything, so there will be a chance for fraud. And lack of proper communication. The proper communication means the circular, the details which the head office sent to the branch head, he should communicate to the staff. So these are the things also lead to fraud. Then lack of monitoring. No one is ready to supervise anyone, then there will be definitely a fraud. Because suppose if the intention of that person is negative, or if he wants to encash the weakness, then due to that lack of monitoring, then he will do it. So that is another thing. Then improper delegation. So to whom you have to allocate the work. So delegation is a professional thing. Giving a work to the staff, to the correct staff, that also a very good thing. And improper delegation also leads to fraud. And lack of assigning the right job to the right person. If he didn't know anything, then suppose if we are giving a huge work, that is work is not related to him, and the work which he didn't know, then also there will be there will be a chance to create a fraud. Then management of laziness, that is delay in decision making and conveying. Suppose if someone would have asked, so what is the decision we have to do? So suppose if he is asking the manager is not interested to give his decision, and is not able to give his direction, then this will create a fraudulent activity. So laziness of the management is also another part. Then improper check and balance. I already said bank has got a very good system. So improper check and balances, lack of filters and firewalls in system, that is system based frauds you can find. Then unregulated website. Suppose if the branch is being entered into unregulated website, then there will be a chance for fraud. Then different cross-border legal systems and jurisdictions. So this is another type of situation. Then lack of international forum for establishing accountability and enforceability in cross-border frauds, misappropriations, etc. Then lack of sharing of information among various participation and insurance. So suppose if anyone is doing anything which is not relevant to the banking business, that information should be conveyed to all staff, all branches, all bank as a whole, even entire bank as a whole, that has to be communicated. Then lack of monitored, updated common database. So if the data have not been updated, then there will be a chance for fraud. Then next thing we have to analyze, what are the psychological factors that lead to fraud. That is lack of identification of work, lack of proper recognition of work and achievement, because everyone needs a recognition. I need a recognition. If that person is not being recognized, then his mind will change. This may create that person to create a fraud, to do a fraud. That's only a psychological. And lack of reward and punishment. Lack of reward. Suppose if you are doing very good work, but if you have not been rewarded, there it is not recognized. It is you have been recognized, but it is not rewarded. So then you will say, okay, you are not given any reward, then I'll do some mischief. Then punishment. The punishment should be clear. If you are doing this, this is a punishment. If there is no information, no decision on this, then that person can do fraud. Once again, I'm saying I am not blaming all staff. I am not blaming the entire banking operation. These are the chances wherein fraud will take. These are the basic reasons. Because of this psychological factor also, they can they can do the fraud. Few staff, they are doing it. Lack of motivation, moral building, change in moral value. That is trust to mistrust. Suppose I am believing you, you are using it. Okay, you are believing me fully. Now I want to use it. So that is mistrust also going. Then dominance of only I, me, self-concept. That is priority of personal preferences over organizational objectives, goals, thus lacking teams. I am doing it. It is for me only. I personally involved in doing this. So if anyone is doing this, then he will go out of organizational goals, then that may lead to fraud. Then non-adherence of stability in the policy, thus only flexibility prevails. That is, personalized policies dominate in the functioning means level and mode of compliance of policies change with change in the boss. So personal preference, if it is given, then there will be chance of fraud. Then inconsistency in decision making, thinking process and implementation and enforcement of various rules and regulations also lead to psychological thing, and there will be a chance for fraud. Improper two-way communication in the organization. Suppose if manager wants to say, he has to say. The staff, he has to hear. If it is only one way, and if second way is not coming, then that means it is not properly communicated. There will be a chance for fraud. Then next thing, how your fraud get detected. This is a very, very important area. How you find a fraud. Where you can find the records. That is by way of making complaints. If anyone has complained against the staff or against the branch function, sir, I have paid the amount, but the amount is not being credited to my account, there will be complaint register. An auditor has to go and verify the complaint register. And if there is any complaint register, even there is in now software, there is a complaint register folio. You ask for the printout, there you can find. So complaint, by way of complaint you can detect. Then change in incumbency or job rotation. So if there is no job rotation, if a staff is for more than 1 year, 1.5 years in the same seat, then there will be a chance for fraud. There also you can get a lead that there is a fraud opportunity. Then updating of housekeeping and balancing of books. That is, now it is due to computerization, everything is okay, but updating of housekeeping, or even housekeeping says even maintaining the records also lead to housekeeping. Balancing of books, it's okay, but balance, even if you can omit debit as well as credit, there also the balancing will tally. But in banking, there will be four areas there will be accounts have to be balanced. But normally you can omit only one debit and one credit, but these two areas you can find. So updating of housekeeping and balancing you can find. Then in audit and inspection, suppose you are going for the audit, you can find a fraud. If there also you can get a lead that this transaction leads to a fraud. And inspection is being carried out by the bank's inspection department, that they will go line by line, word by word, and all documents they will give the report. You go and read the inspection report, they will give a special mention report, SMR, special mention report. There you can also find the inspection comments which needs immediate attention of the management. From there also you can get a lead towards finding a fraud. And visit of regional office or zonal heads, because every bank's regional office or zonal office, they have to go in person to do the verification. So there also you can get a fraud lead. Then scrutiny of control returns, that is every month they have to inform to the head office if any returns have not been reported, then there will be there you can find the lead to a fraud. Then presence of mind of alert and efficient staff. Suppose if one is saying that so there's a chance for fraud, this is not tallied, I am not agreeable, if they may complain to the management, and if that is not being heard properly, then there will be a chance for it. But if that is being heard properly, then that manager, he will go depth into the transaction. You can find lot of branch managers, lot of staff, they are very, very well versed in all banking knowledges. So they can give the lead, sir, something is going wrong. So if there is no such thing, you can find a detective fraud. Then normally, what are the characteristics of the person who is doing the fraud? He will never go on leave and accept but he can accept any work. He will never go on leave, but he will do any all persons work, because you don't know the suppose in case if you are not well versed in computer operation, he knew well in computer operation by using your password, then he will do the mistake because you don't know. So he will never go on leave and accept any work, and normally he will live beyond their means. This can be found out only by the concurrent auditor. For a statutory branch auditor, because you are going for 2 to 3 days, it is not possible. So living beyond their means, the concurrent auditor he can find. And also if he is being associated with the bad habits, because you can find suppose bad habits, bad company, these are all the characteristics of the internal persons, because this will tempt him to do the fraud. And if he has got any domestic problem due to some indebtedness, due to some commitment, he will tend to do the fraud. And this person, you have to be very very careful. You have gone for the audit, you have started the audit, you are doing it, but one fellow is always watching you. And if you turn your neck and saw him, then he will immediately come and meet you. Sir, what do you want? Do you need any requirement? Suppose if that is the case, then you have to be very very careful while verifying that person's seat. Suppose if he is dealing in the advances, then he might have committed some mistake in the form of fraud. Whether you are finding it or not, that you can get it. And when you ask for the next reason is, when you ask for the details, that man is not giving any detail. Then you can, now you have to be very specific that I totally disagree with these transactions because I have sought for the details. This officer has not, this branch management has not given any details, so I totally disagree. You have to be specific, because in future if anything goes wrong, then you will be safe. So this is another characteristic of the person. I will not give any detail. Whatever you want, you do it. Then always disturb your audit. This is another character. Suppose we are doing the audit, he will come and sit with you. He will always disturb you. So please don't see this. Please see this. This is the area wherein you can find a lot of mistakes. This is the area wherein this is an unwanted area, so don't do it. So in this way, they will come and disturb you. If anyone is doing, and another, my experience is, if anyone is preventing you from doing the audit, sir, I will not give. I will not give. So because if he disturbs, he will prevent you from doing the audit, then he will be, you can very well know that there is a fraud. Someone may say that, sir, you have got no right to verify this document. Then I can assure you, if anyone says this, there will be 100% chance for fraud. This is based on my experience in various banks. If anyone objects, if anyone prevents, if anyone disturbs, if anyone is not giving any detail, there will be chance for fraud. And another person is, he tries to win the trust of another person in the branch. He pretends, he acts that he is the person known to everyone. He creates confidence among all the persons. So this is another thing. Then other person is, he comes early and sits late. This is the thing. You have to be very well. He will come early. We don't know. Even before opening the branch, he will come. He will do some transactions. These facts we don't know. And he also sit late before he will leave the branch very late. Then allowing the ex-employees also, that is another thing. If you have any ex-employees are being allowed, then their area of operation should be restricted. But by their contact, they may go into the other seats also. There will be a chance for fraud. I can't blame all ex-employees. Once again, I am saying it's only a fraud detection technique. Then that staff is quite popular among, not only among staff but also among the public. So whoever comes to the branch, he will go and approach this staff. So he may say that there will be a chance that, sir, kindly make the payment. I am going out. This is my payment to the loan amount. You make the payment. He will say, okay, it's a part amount they are remitting. He said, okay, he will not remit that amount into the account. He kept the amount. So normally any cash payment has to be made directly to the cashier and not to the staff. This is a thing the customer should know. Normally on belief, they are handing over the amount to that particular staff. So if you observe like this, you can instruct, you can even in your report, you have to say that this is the thing, they should not take the cash because that staff is not allowed to take the cash. And unreasonable postponement of activities. So without any reason, they are postponing any activity. Suppose if they want to go for recovery, say, okay, sir, we'll go later. Sir, you have to do the advance sanction. Okay, sir, we'll do it later. So, and without any reason, he is postponing. These are the characteristics of a person. Because these persons tend to do fraud. Then, what are the major fraud prone area? Major fraud prone area in a bank are deposits, advances, cash, clearing, remittances, bills, letter of guarantee, letter of credit, foreign exchange, computerized operations, security items, stationery, miscellaneous, and general. This is nothing but bank's balance sheet. So all the items in bank's balance sheet are fraud prone area. I once again say that the internal control system of the bank is 100% correct, but due to some mischief done by few staff to do fraud, all these areas are fraud prone area. What are the preventive measures to avoid fraud? So the branch has to identify the weak areas and establishment of sensitive areas and alarming signals, setting up of foolproof procedures and their uninterrupted equal application and enforcement along with consistency in decision making, monitoring of rules and procedures, proper inspection and monitoring. This is nothing but implementation of internal control system, and every internal control system should be easily understandable. It is easily understandable. If one person work is checked by another person, then there will not be any chance for fraud, but only the negligence may create a platform to create a fraud. What are the key points? Suppose you, as an auditor, you are doing it. As a key point, what you have to do? Don't take things and facts at face value. Don't accept. You can see. Don't blindly accept. You just see, is there anything wrong or not? Then don't trust others all the time. You have to trust, but don't trust others all the time. Don't believe your eyes, because your eyes also maybe may lead you to wrong side. So don't believe your eyes. Be very analytical and investigative. Suppose this thing, see, when you till you suspect there is no fraud, you can do the audit very lightly, very confidently. And if you suspect there is something wrong, then you have to go in depth. This is my suggestion. So don't consider, say, be very analytical and investigative. Don't consider the person guilty unless it is proved beyond doubt. And at this juncture, I want to say one thing. If you find a fraud, don't discuss that fraud inside the branch, because you have to come out of the branch and report the fraud, because you are not safe inside the branch. Auditors are not safe inside the branch. Even I've got some experience in it. Don't discuss the fraud. You have to find the fraud, but if you see that that's a fraud, you are confident of the fraud, you have to come out of the branch and report it, because you are not safe inside the branch. So auditors are not safe when they report the fraud. So this is a suggestion I want to give. So do all the acts with due authority, with due diligence, bona fide and without bias. Do such acts which further the distinction between bona fide and malified intentions. Always come to the final conclusion after taking into cognizance the totality of the facts and circumstances. So you have to consider entire situation. You have to arrive at the correct situation. Then only you have to give the report. Then avoid piecemeal approach. So now today this point, okay, I'll verify. Tomorrow that point. Don't do it. If you want to, if you are confident that there will be a chance for fraud, that is you have identified, then do the audit from top to bottom. Don't in full swing, and don't do it in peaceful manner. Then fraud detection is an art. It is an art. provided, and you have to apply your mind with sincerity and dedication. In bank audit, you will definitely get the fees irrespective of full coverage or part coverage, irrespective of your visit or your staff visit, or irrespective of your audit or not. But be careful, because we are to give our report correctly. Be loyal to our profession and maintain our institute image. You are held personally responsible for the monetary loss done to the bank due to your non-detection of fraud during the course of audit. In LFAR, there's a specific column. Have you come across the fraud during your period of audit? This is a specific column, point number 5 of LFAR. You go and read, you will get the question. We have to save our skin and profession, as nobody will come and support and defend our negligence and mistake. So this is the thing you have to bear in mind, because you have to do the audit very, very carefully. Verification of records are different, but when you suspect something is fraud, but please go in depth, and you have to consult. If you have got any doubt, you consult your senior also, you consult your fellow members also. No harm. This is the position what I have to do, what are the points I have to find. This is a suggestion I want to give. And finally, I want to conclude this video presentation. Be careful, as your CS certificate is in danger if you fail to find any fraud during the course of our bank audit. So this is a suggestion I want to give. We have to do the audit sincerely, and we are doing it sincerely. But if anything goes wrong due to so you would have given the work to some staff, your staff, you might have ignored that one. We will discuss the case studies separately. This is a point I want to say about this. Once again, I repeat, this is a knowledge-based video presentation in bank audit, and I request everyone to do the audit 100% carefully, because we are also responsible to the public. We are also indirectly we are responsible to the public. We are also responsible to the government, to the bank. With this, I am concluding this part of my video presentation on detection of bank fraud part 2. Thanks for watching this video presentation. Nandri Vanakkam.